Hey everybody, I'm Stacey Park, a licensed designer for Sizzix and Jacquard, and welcome to our second Take Two Tuesday ever. This is number 2. If you missed number 1, I encourage you to head on back and visit that first Take Two Tuesday, which really is going to give you an overview of what I hope to bring to these Tuesdays, the community that I hope to foster, and the techniques I get to share with you. Oh my goodness gracious, I am so excited. So every Tuesday, I will be featuring 1 or 2 Sizzix items along with perhaps some Jacquard, and every now and then maybe a guest manufacturer. In fact, today I have some memory box product here built into this that I can't wait to show you. Just some little trinkets that added the perfect touch. So if you love Sizzix and you love crafting and you love technique and you love value, because when you see my Fanciful Framelits, I'm using my ovals today. I'm only going to be able to show you one technique today. One technique out of about 20 techniques that I can do with my Fanciful Framelits. So as the weeks go by, we'll be bringing these dies back to show you another technique and then another technique and how to use them together with other product, really giving you the confidence to craft. Get in there and just go for it. And knowing that you have the best product available from Sizzix and Jacquard. You've got the gold standard in the crafting industry with both of those companies. So today it is all about my Fanciful Framelits. I should also say that these items aren't yet available that I'm showing you. My Sizzix dies launch on March 1st. But if you visit your local independent mom and pop shop or your favorite online retailer, they may have them available now for pre-order. And not just the Fanciful Framelit that I'm showing you today, the ovals. They'll have the whole collection available for you to pre-order, or perhaps you'll see it in there coming soon and you can add it to your wish list. Yes. Also, I'm hoping that my Stacey Park Hub on the Sizzix.com website is up, and that is going to be a great place for you to go to find the most current Take Two Tuesdays. Absolutely. Look under their designers. You'll see Tim Holtz, you'll see Eileen Hall, and eventually you'll see me too. And my Take Two Tuesdays are going to live there as well. I have so much planned for us over the next year. I have so many releases coming out, and with the foundational product that I've designed, and I kind of call myself an essentials designer, a foundational designer. With the foundational products I've designed, we're going to be able to, even for Christmas, we're going to be able to pull some of the SKUs that I'm using today and pair them with what I did for Christmas. Really giving you that value for your crafty dollars, all while buying product that you know is gold standard. You know Sizzix is top of the line, and you know Jacquard as well. Jacquard, their inks are amazing. This is what that company does. Jacquard is known as a fine art company, and yes, I have inks with them too. So I think that's enough talking for today. I want to tilt down, I want to get started, and today it is technique based, just one technique, because if I showed you all 20, it would be an 8-hour video. But don't worry, every Tuesday, something new for you. All using Sizzix and Jacquard with a few friends mixed in. Today I've got memory box mixed in. I've got some cute little doodads from them that I think will finish the project off beautifully. So are we ready to get started? Take Two Tuesday number 2, and yes, I will put the number on each Take Two Tuesday so that you can follow along and know if you've already seen it, or if the new ones come out, or if you need to go back because you missed one. Absolutely. All right, you guys, I'm Stacey Park. I'm a licensed designer for Sizzix and Jacquard, and welcome to Take Two Tuesdays. Let's get started. Got to put my glasses on. Down we go. Now, I should also let you know that my videos are non-edited, non-scripted, non-dubbed. what you see is what you get, and that's kind of how we roll here. So if something doesn't quite go right, we just fix it together. We're crafters together. We're gonna make it happen. Now I want to show you the first design that I'm going to be playing with in our Take Two Tuesdays. This is my Fanciful Framelits. It's actually Clare's. I named them after Clare's Classic Ovals. Clare is an SMS girl, and I've named my Fanciful Framelits. Each shape is named after a different girl. So what makes these different than a typical framelit from Sizzix? Well, it's the embossing feature that makes these different. It is something that they haven't done before. In fact, I don't think I've seen anybody do it quite the way I have. Typically, when you have a die that has that embossing feature in it, it is built into the main die where it's going to cut and add that embossing feature all at the same time. Well, I wanted to change things up a little bit and give you a little more option. So I did it so that you have a frame die to cut your oval. You have an embossing feature to add to the frame die or the oval if you want. Another cut die, another embossing die, another cut die, another embossing die, cut, emboss, cut. Which means that you can use the ovals just on their own to cut whatever ovals you need them to be. You can use the embossing feature just on its own without actually cutting an oval. You can pair the two together to make a solid, or you can use a die, embossing feature, die combination to make frames. Now today, like I said, today I can only show you one technique. There's so much to be done with these that I'm going to be using them again and again, all the different shapes, and there are 4 shapes in the first collection. But as an essentials, as a foundational tool, I think it's best to start with just one technique and really focus on that and get that confidence level behind that one technique. And then next time we'll do something else and really learn that. And the time after we'll do something else and really learn that. So I'm going to start with these, and I've got them right here for you. I think the first thing I do want to show you is the gotcha tool, just because if you don't have one or if you haven't seen it yet, it is a wonderful tool. This is the gotcha tool. It's by Sizzix. I developed this tool years ago, and now it has Sizzix and SP on it. I've never seen a square look so pretty. Honestly, the first time I saw the mock-up of it, I lost my mind. What does this do? Well, first off, it sits on your maker space just beautifully. It's slimline, it's easy. It has this cute little stand that will pop right back on in. So if you're traveling with it, it will pop in. And then if you need to pull it out, you pop it right on out. Sits right there on your maker space. And what it does is it does that. So that if you are using these dies, any dies actually, you can put it right into put it right onto your gotcha tool and hold it on your maker space so that you can grab them as needed. I think I might go up a little bit. Yeah, maybe. There we go. There we go. So that is what a gotcha tool does. It allows you to, in fact, I'm going to turn them this way. It allows you to pick up your dies, keep them on your maker space, and grab them when you need them. It also lets you pick up small dies if you've misplaced something, or, well, as a matter of fact, I can't grab that one. If you've misplaced something, it will absolutely just pick it right up for you. If something's hiding underneath paper or you drop it on the floor, this is your go-to tool. So I'm going to be using this today. It's going to be off to the side because I want it to hold the dies that I'm going to be using. That way they're readily available for me. Let me just get all my lovely ovals on here. And now I can just sit it off to the side and grab what I need. I think I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about the Revealz paper. So Sizzix has come out with Revealz paper, which is, the colors are so beautiful. Oh my gosh, the colors are just amazing. It is a printed top, printed bottom, but when you tear into it, it's going to have a different color as its core paper. It's going to sand or tear to a lighter shade. Now they've done it in 2 sizes, A4, and you get 40 sheets of your Revealz paper. And they've also done it in A6, which fits their embossing folders perfectly. That's what that was made for. And when I say when you tear into it, so orange on both sides, and yet when I tear to a lighter color of that orange. So Sandable, easy peasy. I mean, when you put this through your embossing folders, you're going to love it. And gosh, even just tearing, it just adds that perfect edge because you've got the demarcation between the darker printed color and the lighter color that is actually the base of the paper. So you're saying, but Stacey, embossing folders, I didn't see you have embossing folders. I know, but I do have an embossing element to my dies. Now again, I could put these 2 dies together and it would cut out my oval, my die cut like I'm used to, and it would put an embossing element in. But for today, right now, I'm gonna play with just the embossing element, and I'm gonna play with my Revealz paper. Let's see, what color do we wanna start with? The colors are dreamy. And yes, I had something to do with some of the colors. Well, with the colors. I think I'm gonna do purple. I think I'm gonna do these 2 and maybe play with these 2 colors to start with. So do I wanna have my, yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start with my purple and then go there. Now I'm gonna cut myself a piece of paper, and you will find that with my makes, I don't use a trimmer. I usually just hand cut. I can't tell you why, but I just do. In all my YouTubes, a trimmer is pretty much non-existent. I'm just a freehander because it's crafting, and close is good enough for crafting. It's not meant to be perfect. It's meant to be handmade. All right, so I think I'm gonna do that, and then I think I'm gonna cut here. And I'm gonna leave myself some space. What do you think? Too much space? We should go back just a little bit. Think that looks good? Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna straighten that out just a wee bit. You're like, well, if you had a trimmer, I know, I'm just a girl who's a girl. So, good. Now, to make this embossing element work, I need something called impression pad and a silicone pad. I have nicknamed them squishies and knock-knocks. And you can see I nicknamed this squishy because, well, you can squish it. This is a Sizzix silicone pad. Sold separately, doesn't come with your machine. Definitely is something you want to own. Very inexpensive. They're under $10, and you use it with a knock-knock pad. This is an impression pad. Why do we call it a knock-knock pad? Knock, knock. So to keep it easy, I call it a squishy and a knock, knock. This is an impression pad, and this is a silicone pad. In the body of the description of this class, I will have both of the SKUs here listed. Those SKUs will not be live links. There is no affiliating. We don't have an affiliation program for this, and really this is just to teach you. And I am sure that your local independent retailer, if they are a Sizzix store, they're going to be able to have this for you or get this for you. And if they're not a Sizzix store yet, well, you're going to go knock, knock and tell them why they should be. So these two are imperative when you are using the embossing element of my dies. See that embossing element? And The Revealz paper is what makes everything pop. So I'm going to run this through, and I'm going to bring over my Sizzix Big Shot machine. Now I am using just a standard Big Shot machine today, and I do have the base plate that comes with the Big Shot machine. I also have the solo shim that comes with the machine, and this is what lets you cut wafer dies or chemically etched dies, framelits, thinlits, whoever makes a thin die that you care or that you buy. Memory Box, My Favorite Things, Lawn Fawn, Spellbinders, who makes wafer dies? This is what's going to help you cut them. It does come with 2 clear cutting pads. So this is a clear cutting pad, and after time it won't be clear anymore. In fact, this one, I don't know if I can get something underneath it to show you. It's got some cuts in it. So that's what's going to happen. One of your clear cutting pads is going to be cut into, because as you put a die that has a cut edge onto it, it's going to leave that mark. Don't be afraid. That's what it's meant to do. I also then take another plate, and this is a like a goldy, glittery goldy plate. Let's see. It's a clear plate that's got a gold glitter in it. I always take another plate and use it as my do not cut plate. And people ask, well, what's a do not cut plate? It's a plate that you try not to cut into. It may get some dents and some dings, but it will keep the warpage down. So if you were to get a set of some colored plate from Sizzix or your favorite independent or online retailer, and you get them with glitter or you get a color, use one of those as your do not cut plate, and then one of the cut plates that came with your machine. That means you'll have plenty. You'll have 2 full sets that will keep you going for quite some time. Now today, because I'm going to start with my embossing element, and I will die cut a little bit later, but since I'm going to start with my embossing element, I don't actually need this solo shim. I don't need it at all, because I'm going to use the silicone pad, the texture pad, so the squishy and the knock knock. And if you look right on your base plate, it will tell you how to use this. It will tell you how to use a silicone and textured impression pad to do an embossing feature. Now there's a couple different ways of doing it. They give you one way, and sometimes I have another. It just depends upon what I'm doing. But I want to make this embossed element shine on this beautiful paper, so when I sand it, it comes right up. And for me, the easiest way to do that is to take my knock knock pad and put that down first. Then my squishy pad and put that down second. These take the place of your clear cutting pad. Takes the place of these clear cutting pads. Then I put my paper, and I want my paper, the side that I want showing on my finished project, I want that facing down. Down, not up. I know that sounds weird, but down. So for Revealz paper, it's that textured side that you want facing down, and then my die right on top of it. Now I've done this a little bit of a reversed way than is shown on the base platform. And the reason I've done it slightly reversed is that I want to center, I want to see where my die is in conjunction to the piece that I have cut. I don't want it to be too far up here, and I don't want it to be too far down there. I'm going to use this as the front of my card, the entire thing. So I want to be able to make sure that I've got it fairly well centered. If I was going to cut this out after I've embossed it, it wouldn't matter if it was here or if it was on the diagonal. Wouldn't matter to me at all, because I would be die cutting that entire shape out. But since I'm embossing it, I want to try and keep it centered. So I've got my base platform down. I have got my knock knock or my impression pad. I have got my squishy. I've got my paper. I've got my die centered. And then, because I'm not cutting, it really doesn't matter if I use my cut plate or my do not cut plate. Doesn't make a difference at all. I'm just gonna go for it. Line it all up, center it up, square it. And of course you could take a little bit of maker's tape from Sizzix or Post-it note to hold everything down in place. And I'm a girl who flies by at the seat of her pants. So away I go. Now, it's going to start making that squishy become longer. As the pressure from the roller that is built into the machine, as it is pushing down on the silicone pad is going to stretch and you will see it grow. You know you're doing it right if the squishy comes out the back end. See, it's gonna come out the back end right here. See, there it is. And you only need to roll through once. You're not gonna go back and forth, back and forth. Let's see what I've got. And there is that embossed image. You're like, yeah, I see it, but do I see it? Oh, you do. So let's put all of this over here to the side. You know, and maybe I'll cut one more and I'll do it out of this paper, and maybe we'll just do 2 reverses. So that way you can see it one more time. So I'm just gonna cut myself another piece of paper and we'll do it twice. And then I'll make the same card, only I'll reverse it. Close enough. All right, so I'm gonna do this exact same thing one more time, just so you can see it again. I've got my Big Shot machine. See, told you, not scripted. I've got my base platform. I've got my Knock Knock, which is an impression pad. I have got my silicone pad, my squishy. I've got my paper, and the side I want to see on my finished project is flipped down. I don't want to see it. If I'm looking at it and I can say, oh my gosh, I just love this paper. I'm so glad I bought it. I need you to stop. I need you to flip it around and go, oh yeah, there's the back side. Like the front side better. So if you're looking at the paper before and you're about to put your die on it and you're like, oh man, that's gonna look so good. This paper is gonna look so amazing with that. Stop and flip it over so that the backside is what you are seeing. Then I'm gonna put my die with that embossed element down against it, and I'm just gonna center it up so I can use this as my card front. I think that looks pretty good. And then either my cut plate, my do not cut plate, it's not gonna make a difference because it's not cutting anything. Center it up and push it on through. There we go. And again, as the pressure from my roller is hitting that silicone pad, that squishy, it's making it grow. So you know you've got it right if the squishy's coming out the back end. Done. So now we've done 2 of them. That way you can see it. I will tell you, probably one of the most underutilized and most cost-effective tools in the Sizzix arsenal are these 2 items. I use them all the time. Many people have never even seen them before. This will be the first time they're really understanding what these 2 items do. They are under $10 each, and it will transform what you do with your dies. Truly it will. It takes them to a new level. It gives you a brand new opportunity with them that you haven't had before. It is exciting and affordable and fun. Okay, now I've got 2 peas in a pod, one in purple and one in my teal. I'm gonna take my sand it tool. So Sizzix has come out with new sanding blocks. There's 2 per pack. They were made to go with the Revealz paper, which means that the grit is not too hard that it's going to tear your paper, but it's not so soft that you have to sand and sand and sand and sand and sand. It's a combination of between too rough and too easy. So, you know, the Goldilocks bed was too hard and this one was too soft. Here's your just right. It's going to sand and reveal that color, but it's not going to sand so much so quickly so that it does it in its first swipe. It gives you an opportunity to decide how much sanding you actually want. If the sanding tool was too rough, it would take everything off your first swipe. And if it was not rough enough, you could be here for days doing this. So they really worked to find a grit that works with the paper. And that's super important because it is paper. And if you sand too much, you will put a hole in it. At the same time, you don't want to be sitting there for days trying to get it to sand. I like the size because Sizzix has come out with some larger format embossing folders, and you're going to be able to do those very quick and very easily. But on these, no problem. And you have a small side and then, well, 2 small sides and 2 large sides. And again, 2 per pack. So I can come in here, and depending on how I want to do it, I can sand this embossing element. Now, mind you, I haven't die cut the oval. I'm just using the embossing element. The set comes with dies and embossing elements. You get the best of both worlds. So now I'm just sanding some of the edge and giving the whole paper a little distressed look. I think I'm good with that. So now I've given my paper a little bit of a distressed look, and can you see the sanding element pop right on up? You couldn't see it necessarily here. Now if you get it close enough, you can see there. But here, well, there it is. And it goes die, embossing, die, embossing, die, embossing, die, embossing, all the way down. So you have many sizes to play with, and there's 4 shapes, 4 different shapes that we're going to explore over our Take 2 Tuesdays. So love this. If I want to go in there and give it a little bit more sanding, up to me. Just depends upon how distressed you want it to be, or maybe you don't want it to be distressed at all. I kind of like having the edges sanded because it almost looks like I've inked them. Only I haven't. All right. There we go. Pretty, right? How about we do the purple as well? So I'm going to take my sanding tool and let's hit the purple. Can you see how easily that comes up? And you're sanding to a lighter shade. You're sanding to a lavender purple. It's so pretty. So it's not white core paper. It's color core paper. And I can get right in there. Now you don't have to sand the outside of this at all. You could have kept it as that solid purple and just had the embossed element what you see. And I like that it doesn't take too much off too quickly. It gives me the opportunity to look at it and say, do I want more? Do I want less? Look at how pretty is this. All right, so I'm starting with those two. And then I'm gonna do the reverse. And I'm gonna do the reverse in maybe, I think I'm gonna do the reverse in this size and this size. So now I've got a smaller embossing with a die cut. And I'm gonna go ahead and then maybe I'll use the side up. Yep, see, and that's the nice thing. Everything is stored right here on my gotcha tool. I just have to go grab it right off my gotcha tool. Easy peasy. So I think I'm gonna use these three for my next. I'm gonna put these off to my side and we're gonna come back to them in just a minute, and I'm gonna take those two pieces of paper and I'm gonna cut a smaller piece. Now this time I'm gonna die cut this shape out. So I'm gonna emboss it first and then die cut. And you're like, emboss it first and then die cut? Yes, I find it easier to do than to die cut and then try to align the embossing. So let's emboss this first, and I'm going to do it in both the purple and in my teal. Ooh, by the hair of a chinny chin chin, but I think I'll be able to make it work. See, because I know I'm going to die cut this out, it doesn't matter that it be straight or not. It just needs to fit on my paper. By the hair of a chinny chin chin, but sometimes that's all it takes. So let's bring my Sizzix Big Shot machine right back on over. We're going to do a wash, rinse, and repeat, which means I am going to emboss this all over again. So I have got my base platform, my knock knock, my silicone or my squishy, my paper with the side that I want to see on my finished project that is going to go face down, and then my die. Now because it's going to be die cut out, it doesn't have to be perfectly centered. It's going to be fine. And then either a cut plate or a do not cut plate, and I'm going to send it on through. And if I've done it right, we're going to see, ooh, I'm close. I'm really close. Scoot you down just a little bit, center you up. Okay, my squishy came out the back end. Ooh-wee, holy smokes, artichokes. I'm super close. We'll have to see if I can get that cut out. I'm right on the edge, but we'll see. So I'm gonna do the same thing. My pretty side down, which is the textured side. My die. My cut plate or do not cut plate. And send it on through and watch that squishy get longer and longer as the pressure goes. All right, that should be good. Perfect. I can put that right back on there. I think I'm going to be done with my squishy and my knock knock for a while. And now bring over what I will need to die cut. So I've got the two elements ready to go. Just give them a good sanding. One down. So you can see how nice the sanding tool is. It's got good hand feel. It's not too small so that you're struggling to hold it, but it's not too big. And it's got a little gush to it so you can get a grip in there. I like that. It's got the little gush to it because it's got a foam center so you can get a little grip in there. And look at that. We're done. Now I'm going to die cut. So I'm going to take the die that's one size larger, and I'm going to cut that element on out. That's what I'm saying with this one. Ooh, it's going to be close. But you just never know until you try. So I have got my base platform again. I've got my solo shim. Now I need that solo shim, and it does come with your machine. I've got my cut plate because now I am die cutting, and I want to leave the marks in my cut plate. And then my do not cut plate is going to go right on top. Now the thing with Sizzix is their framelit dies are see what you cut, cut what you see. And that means that the edge, the blade, is all the way in the inner edge. It's not centered in between the two edges. It's not on the outside edge. So if you see the paper, even if it's super close, if you can see the paper, you know it's going to cut. The only thing that won't cut is if you don't see the paper underneath. So you're not going to have to guess, well, how close am I? Because the blade is not centered or on the outside edge. You know that if you've got it right there, then that's what you're going to cut because you see what you cut and you cut what you see. Now you could take some maker's tape and tape that down. I'm a girl who flies by the seat of my pants, so we're just going to go for it. I've got my do not cut plate on top, and we'll see what happens. These are an open frame die, which means they're not intricate at all. I can put my fingers through here. It's an open frame die, not intricate at all. The easiest dies to cut, open frame dies, and bam. There we go. Now, this one's going to be a little tricky. I didn't give myself a lot of wiggle room on this, but you know, it's only paper and, well, we're just going to give it a whirl. So see what you cut, cut what you see. It is right there. I mean, it can't get any closer than this. When I say a hair, I mean a hair. In fact, part of the die is hanging off the edge. But I can see the design, so let's try. Worst case scenario, I have to do it again. It's okay, it's a teachable moment. I left myself a little short. Okay, what do we think? Was it a go or a no? This is why I love Sizzix dies. Can you see? I got it right to the edge and it cut. It is right there. I saw my paper, so I knew I should be good. And look at that. Bam. Happy day. All right, so I've got these two. And then I think I might do a stamped sentiment. I think I'm going to do a stamped sentiment. So I'm going to bring over some white paper. I've got some Sizzix paper here. This is their smooth white cardstock. I think there's 60 to the pack. It's lovely paper. I think it's 80 pound. Might be a little heavier than that, but beautiful white, nice and bright, and super smooth. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp some images. And the stamp set I'm using today is one of their newer stamp sets. It is by Lisa Jones, and it is called Daily Sentiments. I'll put the SKU number in the body of the description of the YouTube. But Daily Sentiments by Lisa Jones. So I'm going to grab some of my Jacquard ink. So this is my brand new ink from Jacquard. I have 12 new colors. It is a dye-based ink, but it is so much more than a dye-based ink, and we'll get into that in later classes. Today it is just about stamping. I want to get a simple stamp going. And I have got the sentiment, "So happy for you." Oh, that was good. That was good. That was good too. I think 3's enough. Probably could have got away with 2, but just to be sure, I'm going to take the die that is the next size down. So I've done the embossing with this die. I've cut out my embossing here, and now I want to nest. I want to nest my sentiment right in there. So I'm going to take my next size die to do that with. So happy for you. Why, thank you. Let's cut this one. That one, and if I need, I've got my extra just in case. Bring my machine back on over. And remember, I'm doing a wafer die, so I will need to have that solo shim. I've got my cut plate down, and you can see it's getting cut into. And so happy for you. Now again, you could use some maker's tape to center this up. I'm a girl that just kind of goes for it. There's a magnetic platform that you can purchase for your machine that will hold that in place. And I'm sure at some point we'll be playing with a magnetic platform. But for this, I'm just going to go. And out it comes. So let's do the second because I have 2 cards that I'm making. Send it on through. And it's an open frame die, so I don't have to go backwards and forwards. It's not necessary. Wow, but look at how lovely is this. The paper's a little bit heavier, so it left that little embossed edge all the way around it. I don't know if I can get that in there. Can you see that little embossed edge? I would almost trim this out and keep these because you've got that embossed edge, and then put... Look at that. I mean, now you've got it set back with that embossed edge around it. Lovely. Okay, so we've got 2 for here. Ooh. No, maybe, I don't know. We're unscripted. We just kind of fly by the seat of our pants. All right, so now I've got 1, 1, and I can put this one here and that one there. And I can put I had ink on my hands. Oh well. This one here and that one there. And continue to my make. So let's continue, or do I want to do that one out? Let's do this one first. So I think I'm going to grab my white cardstock and I'm going to mat this just to some white cardstock. I'm going to tape it down with some double-sided adhesive. Now you guys would do a much better job of taping down. I'm just trying to get this down to show you. So I'm not doing Putting it around all 4 sides. And of course you can use a liquid glue. You can use whatever adhesive makes your heart happy. But I line it up right there, just a little bit of a white, not a lot, but a little bit, and then let's trim it out. Again, I just freehand it. And move on. And then what if we took, because this is going to go in the center, what if we took another sheet and I matted it on that? Or maybe we go a little different. And I use the pink. Oh, I love those jewel tones, right? So I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm just going to tape it on down and we're going to go. So I backed it with the white just to give some contrast. I really love matting. It can really add a lot to a project without having to do much to achieve the effect. I love double and triple matting. I think it adds a little bit of elegance. I'm going to line it on up. Put it on down, and let's fussy cut it out. All right, so we're getting there. And then do I have enough to do this one on this one? Why, yes, yes I do. Look at how perfectly that fits. So I'm going to do a, maybe I don't even do the white. Maybe I'll do the white as the last, because that just fits there so perfectly. So I'm going to straighten this edge on up. And let's put this one here and get this one going. Yeah, that works. So our Take Two Tuesdays is really showing you one technique each week that we can focus on. One technique These Fanciful Framelits will do 20 different things. I have 20 different ways to show you how to use them. But each week, whether it be a Fanciful Framelit or one of my stencils or one of my stamps, we'll pick one technique to do with a make that is achievable by everybody. Oh, I should have straightened that cut up. Wowie kadowie. Holy smokes, artichoke, Stacey. Well, as I said, non-scripted, non-edited, go with the flow. Handmade. When you're talking handmade, imperfect is the perfect. Okay, so, and do I want to back it? Do I want to do it in the pink too? Just to add that pop of color? Or do I want to do it in the white? Or do I not want to do it at all? The white or the pink? All right, let's go with the pink. Mat it on up. Again, you would do a better job of adhering it down. Those colors are so pretty together. Beautiful tones. And I didn't even sand. I'm just using it as straight cardstock because it coordinates so well together. So pretty. Okay, I've got two. Yay. Now I think I'm going to take some ribbon. Do I want to use the ribbon and then, well, at this point I can use this one on that. Or I can reverse it and use the purple on that. Oh, I like it. Okay. So I'm not going to put it onto a card base yet. So before I put it onto a card base, I'm going to wrap my ribbon around, and then whenever we mat this to a card base, that ribbon will be hidden by the card base. Of course, if you're using this on your layouts, your picture goes right there. Your matting's done. You could make a beautiful, my gosh, you could make the most darling little mini albums with these. These would be so cute as pages for your mini albums with the frame not die cut out. That'd be so cute. Okay, so let's just wrap some ribbon around it. So I've got my double-sided adhesive down, and that's an easy way to then help adhere to a card base. I'm not going to expose the sticky until I have a card base and I'm ready to go. And that's just another layer of adhesive, because of course you'll add it here and here for your card base. But this would also be absolutely darling for mini albums and for layouts. What a simple way to add an element to a layout that has that embossing feature to it, giving it a little bit something more than just plain matting. Then I think I'm going to put that there. Center that right on up. My sentiment, which if I had some pop dots, I could pop. Center that in there. How simple was that? Let's finish this one up super quick. So, do I want to use some ribbon? Piece here and a piece here. Yeah, I think I'm just going to keep it the same. I'm just going to do a wash, rinse, and repeat. And I'm not going to pull the liner off my tape until I'm ready to mat it, whether it be matting or putting it down onto my scrapbook layout or my card base. And in no time at all, I could mass produce these with different sentiments in the center, gather 5 of them up together, put a little bow around it, and give it to somebody so they can use them for handmade cards to give to somebody else. It's all about the Fanciful Framelits and all the options you will have with it. And we're going to explore all of those options over the next coming months because it will take months to do them all. And then I think I pulled out my these little cute guys from Memory Box. They're called fairy crystals. And I don't even know if I need to use tweezers to get them. I think I'm just going to put one here and one here. Scooch that one back a little bit. Little fairy crystals. Just a little pop of something on the side. Or I could do them down here. One. And because they're clear, they kind of take the color of the paper. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and I have just 3 left. Yay! And then maybe 3 up here. So we made 2 cards using Fanciful Framelits. My Clare's Classic Ovals. We used Revealz paper. We used a silicone pad and an impression pad. We used the die, so we used the embossing elements of the die set alone. We used the embossing element with the die. We used just the die to cut out our sentiment. We've used the Revealz paper. And we made 2 darling cards, or mats for your layouts, or pages to be used in a journal. Really easy to do. And it all starts with the Fanciful Framelits, where you have a die and embossing, a die embossing, and they are independent of each other, so you can choose how to use them. This is the ovals. There's 3 more shapes in my first release, and we will get to them. The gotcha tool, well, it's gonna get you, I guarantee you. The minute you have this on your making space, you're like, how did I ever live without it before? And again, if something drops, easy peasy. You gotta pick something off the floor, or something is perhaps hidden, you can't find where it is. It'll pick it up. You don't even have to be right on top of it. It'll pick it up. You can't find one of the little dots to an eyeball of a Tim Holtz colorized set. Now you've got that opportunity. So love them. And there you go. So the gotcha tool, we played with the sanding block. You get 2 in each set. We played with the Revealz paper in 2 sizes. All of this available at your independent mom and pop shop or your favorite online retailer. And if either of those don't carry Sizzix products, say, hey, we want you to carry Sizzix. We want to be part of the Take 2 Tuesdays with Stacey. I used the Lisa Jones stamp set. That was a release for January. It has just come out, and it is called Daily Sentiments. And my Fanciful Framelits, my Claire's Classic Ovals. So here's a few more samples for you to see that we've done. Here we just used the ovals. Just the ovals. We didn't use the embossing element at all, and we cut the oval twice and shadowed it. Here we just made super simple, super darling. Just a note, easy peasy, fast, effective. And here we've used the center. And you're like, ooh, what's that? Well, that's coming soon. That's in a future Take 2 Tuesday coming up. So, gosh, I hope that I was able to show you something new today. I hope I was able to really kind of expand your thoughts and maybe show you why you need that impression pad and that silicone pad. I hope I've excited you to see what more Fanciful Framelit can do, because there is so much more. And until then, I'm Stacey. Next week we're going to be playing with one of my layering stencil sets, and we'll be definitely sending sunshine to somebody. So that's coming next week, next Tuesday at 5 p.m. sunny California time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. And as I said, my product hasn't quite launched yet. It's March 1st, but do visit your local mom and pop shop, an independent retailer, or your favorite online craft store, and see if they've got them as a coming soon or a pre-order. We're gonna have 6 or 7 classes by the time, well, we'll have probably five classes by the time they launch. You will be ready to craft the minute that they land in your mailbox or you're able to pick them up at your local retailer. All right, you guys, I'm Stacey Park, and I'm a licensed designer for Sizzix and Jacquard, saying thanks for being here with me, and I will see you next week. Bye, everybody.